G'day and welcome to this second video on the household appliance restorations. In this one we're looking at two appliances that don't work. One is a fan and the other is a hairdryer. The hairdryer is from 1956, the fan is around that vintage as well. There'll be two more videos in this little sort of mini series while I get parts for the car and this sort of stuff. I'll do a floor polisher and a mixer in the next one, and Hoover Constellation as well. The thing I came across though that I didn't mention in the video, and perhaps I should have, is rewiring, and that's why there's a disclaimer at the beginning of the video. But not just that, there's a company called Duckfat that supply beautiful period correct flex or cord, and it's rated, I think this is rated 4 amp from memory. I looked it up on their site, and you can see, I don't know if you can see in there, the conductors are actually very, very small. Now, this stuff's only going to be suitable for table lamps, desk fans, soldering iron. You can use it for a period soldering iron. A floor polish should be fine for anything like that. Now 4 amps equates to 960 watts, I think. I would probably run a maximum of half that at about 500. Would be very, very safe. It's going to be safe at the full thing, I would think, because it would have been tested, but I didn't see any certification to state that, if you know what I mean. So anything with a heating element or a high power motor, like a vacuum, you wouldn't use it. Fan heaters, you wouldn't use it. Anything like that. And probably even an iron, I don't know. You'd have to check out what the current draw of the motor was. And it's also worth bearing in mind that old appliances do have a way of accumulating or consuming more power than what they're rated. They just get old, you know, the motors and this sort of stuff. So desk fan, 35 watts to 100 watts. You know, there'll be some marking on it, and if it's just measured in watts, not amps, then you can do some maths and figure out what you need with a bit of simple Ohm's law. So I just wanted to mention that this is beautiful stuff. And that being said, I don't think I need to say anything else, so I hope you enjoy. Just got this off eBay. It just rolled up in the post now. It was $40. Very interesting piece, but apparently it doesn't work, or at least it doesn't work properly. It's all anodized. It looks quite pretty. They haven't cut the plug off. They just said it doesn't rotate properly, or at least it doesn't rotate at the right speed. It's very slow. So I think we'll pop it in the power. Let's see what happens. Hang on, I'm just reaching around the camera. So I'll just whack it in here. The cord does feel quite stiff. Yeah, they're right. It doesn't. So that's cool. We can pull that apart and have a look. Is that going to come off? Yes, it is. And we've got this nut. It's missing one of the nuts. I'm just going to reach in with this. It's not the right tool, but help for now. There we go. Cool. And we can try and clean that stuff up later. Whoa, hang on. The whole motor's falling apart. Ah, fancy. Now that doesn't feel bad. Why wouldn't that be working? Okay, we've lost a washer and a boss. Maybe that bearing's flogged out in the back. Let's take a look in the back. At the business end. It's a funky looking piece, and you know, it's the sort of thing that would go well on a desk. It doesn't use much room. It doesn't actually look like there's anything really wrong with it. It's earth, which is good. But on the outset, it doesn't really look like there's anything too major wrong with it. That cord's very, very trapped. I wonder if it's not getting proper continuity I don't think that's the case. I think that'd be a lucky break if it wasn't. So I'll take a couple of bits off, like the all-important earth. And the cable strain. It could be something a bit more sinister though. It's been messed around with though. That doesn't look original. In fact, I might just cut it off. Hang on a minute. And just check a couple of resistances. Let me just spread this apart. Oh, I'm not sure about this. Oh, it's this old rubber stuff. That's terrible. Look at that. That is not safe. It's all turned sticky. The neutral... oh, that's terrible. My goodness. Look at that. That's like the old wiring in the old Aussie homes. They used to have rubber insulation. Gosh, that's terrible. We can't use that. But it wouldn't be a bad idea just checking continuity and just seeing what's going on. What's going on under the plug top? Because the motor actually doesn't feel that bad. I mean, it could be knackered. And particularly if field windings have shorted, that will give you, they still rotate, but they've got no torque. Let's have a look under here and see what the hell is going on. Because this screams of being dangerous. Holy smoke. My gosh. That really is terrible. That's not good. So I'm not liking this. That all looks alright. I'm just going to take this out. That could have gone bang. Now this house has an RCD on it, which is a residual current device. A safety switch, if you prefer. So if there's any shorting, the power just goes out. But I'll tell you what, that is appalling. And you see with old cassette recorders or anything like that, which has that have belts in them, the belts go like that. They go rubbery or they go, liquidy. And, there's nothing wrong with that plug top. That's all right. But, struth, I mean, look at that. I mean, the earth's bed, which is all right. Neutral's gone. Active's still hanging on. But you can just pull it off. I actually didn't know they made household cord like that or flex like that. I thought it was only the solid core stuff which they used in the actual house wiring itself, not in the... God, this is just a friggin' barrel of laughs, isn't it? Look at it. Why don't we... Hang on, I'm going to pop that off there. I don't want to put the wiring of the actual motor itself under duress. What is under here? I want to have a look. I wouldn't know if that was, I wouldn't have thought that was factory, but... So we need to have a damn good look at that. The bearing's dry. And it has some movement in it as well. So we might have to get into that. I just want to be really careful because that's got a varnish on it or a lacquer on it. Okay, that's not cool. Oh, it's got crap all over the... Just a moment. I keep Scotch-Brite even when it's knackered like that because you can always use it for something. I mean, you could use a cleaner, but I don't see, that's not screaming out as being that bad to me. There's a bit of resistance. That could use, we might soak that in oil. That'll be a sintered bronze bush. Yes, it is. Alright, we need to soak that in oil and let it free up a bit. And we'll do the same to the front one. Elbeck and Company, Sydney. Right. I think that's the order of the day. There's nothing else screaming. There's a couple of thrusty washers that go either side of the rotor. That's the front one. That's the rear one. So I'll pop that there. I just want to get that off, but you've just got to be so bloody careful with this old stuff. That's a beginning, isn't it? I mean, it's not what I thought. It's nowhere near what I thought. Right, well, I think we'll throw this cord out. We'll keep that little cord strainer thing, but the rest of this can go straight in the garbage. I don't want to know about that. That'll clean up and it's still pliable. We might be able to use the plug again. But that is just, that's a death trap. So that can go straight in the rubbish, and we'll rewire that part of it. It's probably not salvageable. As far as this is concerned, I'm not sure. Let's take this insulation off. It's just twisted together. Oh no, there's a really bad soldering joint there. That wouldn't stop it running, but that's not very good at all. Just pulled off. We'll just take this one off and have a look, and I just want to run a multimeter over this winding to see what is going on. I'm not liking any of what I'm seeing so far. I mean, the fan looked fairly funky, but it's as dangerous as hell. And we've got the same, there's evidence of solder there. But whoever assembled it, or put this on, is a goose. I don't think that would be a factory job. At least if it was, it would be appalling. We'll go straight for continuity. Maybe if we clean up those wires, I'm not getting anything accurate out of that. The wiring itself is quite corroded. Well, this is a little bit annoying. This is a 1950, I think 58 GEC hairdryer, and there's a couple of things with this. The motor for that fan, I've ordered. I don't know how successful this is going to be. I've ordered a new cable for it. If it doesn't work, we'll try and retrofit something else into it. But I pulled this hairdryer apart, and I lost the footage. The other thing is, the reason it doesn't work is because I pulled it apart once before, and what had happened was I'd broken off the wire on the stator winding from here, and it was sort of tucked in down the side, and I thought it couldn't be fixed, but I'm going to have a go at it. I mean, if it doesn't go, it doesn't go. But not just that, it uses a Bakelite rotor carrier, and it's cracked in there. And so that is not fantastic. I've got a wooden wedge here, which I can push up to get it straight again. I'm thinking of cross drilling and putting a pin in sort of down on an angle like that. So it goes into this bit and is held up by that. I don't know. I don't know how successful that could be. Far too easy to break this stuff, but I think it's been broken for some time. I tried to sand on it and use Weld-On 16, but Weld-On 16 sticks, but then there's always the risk it'll come out. The other thing I did was tried to make up some wedges from acrylic that will fit along the side like that to brace it, but again, there's a strong likelihood that will come off and cause issue. So it's a little bit of a pain in the neck. I don't know that I can really do much with this, but we're going to try anyhow. I guess the first thing is to try and tin up these very, very fine copper wires. There are 3 of them, and I've got, where's my side case? I've got some thread in the way. There we go. And I can pull them down and divulge the copper, and the thing is they're plastic coated, so I need to burn them off. And then I've got to try and tin it. And I really don't know how well that's going to go. In fact, I really don't think it will, but it's going to be worth a go. Oh, we're getting somewhere. Because what happens is this is wrapped, but it's not wrapped in a very good way around that. And you can see it's got broken bits of copper on it. So I must have pulled it when I went to remove it from the thing. So let's take those off. I actually thought about putting a longer lead in. Geez, I don't know. What do you think, guys? Bit of shrink tubing. And this is, again, not worth it at all, but I want to. I want to do it. I just don't want to put too much heat into the wire. Oh, goodness me. It's just so delicate and easily broken. But I think that's got it. So I'm just going to try and twist that over that little bit of braiding. Normally I use a cigarette lighter for this sort of thing, but I'm going to use my iron. To shrink it down. And then try and wrap it up without breaking it. Okay. And this exits up through there, so it's got this sort of threading on it. I wouldn't mind taking off the switches though. I really don't want it to break again, because that will be curtains for this little engine, this little motor. Nice. So I've just got to try and wrap it up. And I had some of the other plastic somewhere. What have I done with it? This is pretty friggin' dodgy, but the most I can do is just say no. That has to go in here and then tuck in around there. That's how it's meant to be. Will it fit? Because I'm probably used too much tape. And you can't afford to graze the wiring either, because then you're knackered. I might have put too much on. It has to fit into such a small place, and I don't want to break any more of those wires. They're just too easy. It's too fragile. Well, I think I got it in. It's not that brilliant, but what do you do? How's the other one tied? It's tied down at the base, isn't it? Right, so electrically speaking, that should be okay. So I can't do much more with that. I've got to sort of look now, because this goes inside it. The fan goes on the end. Obviously, well, it's the wrong way around. It goes in from this side. Your commutator's there. There's your brushes, so it fits in that way. And then the fan physically screws, or the coil physically screws to the little carrier. So I've got to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with this. So I'll put this bit here to one side. It's good that it's plastic coated wiring. Now I've seen that other plastic wire or cable. It does make me nervous, because you can have a good quality plastic sheath, and yet the what do you call it? The conductors inside are rubber coated. I always have trouble putting these in. There we go. Right, so that's all good. I've just got to be really careful when I handle this, because it's just so easy to break. Look at the heating element. I was worried about asbestos, but that's all ceramic. Anyway. Right. I guess coming in like that. So I've got to come right back here. Go right in. and then take that off. Grinds it off. That's not going to be easy. Got a pin. I've drilled a hole down through, I don't know if you can see, this is probably not good, and it's protruding a bit through there, but that's cool. Right, it's a snug fit. It's 1.5mm hole. I'm going to push that and hope I don't break it, and then just stick some glue in there, stuff some down the hole and stick it through. Then once it's dried, we'll just get the disc and we'll cut it off. Look, not ideal by any stretch. You know it, I know it, anyone else seeing this knows it. You don't want metal in around a rotational thing like the rotor that's going to, the metal comes off and causes bang. And these things don't get much use anymore, these appliances, and I want to see it, I want to hear it go again. I think I destroyed it. It was in the old house before we moved to Park Orchards, and we moved there in 1977. And so I must have been 9 or so, or 8 or something when I did it. But anyway, let's mix up some epoxy. And force it down. And just keep pushing it down as far in as we can get it. And this is Bakelite, so it should be alright with this stuff, but let's try and get more in, and most of it's going to ooze out. And I also want to stick it down that hole and on that nail as well, and it all has to end up being smooth on the outside because this is how the thing mounts. Right, now I'm going to put that wedge in, and that will line everything up like that. And our little nail. Crap. And that guy goes in there. If I pull that wedge out, I can just see the tip of it there. So that is right. Okay. That's cool. Okay, so we just keep pushing it in as much as we can. This stuff does seem to go off reasonably quickly. So look, this is all I can do. Love it or hate it. It's just how it goes. It's clearly not worth doing stuff like this though, because you think of the time invested, and you can pick one of these up in England for about £15. So they're not dear. And it is an English issue thing. Right, well this was a terrible idea. I drilled in here on an angle and the pin all looks good and all the rest of it, but if this is Bakelite, it could have quite a high content of brown asbestos, which is the worst, and formaldehyde, as well as a resin, which holds it all together. So that, drilling it, if I had my time again, I would not do that, or if I did, I'd have a mask on and do it outside. Now, what do I need? I need my glasses. So we're ready to cut that thing off, and it's protected by, I'm just going to cut it level there, and I'll use a Dremel for that. I've just got to try and get this out because the adhesive, and I don't want to hit the actual armature, the windings of the motor. There we go. And that's as straight as an arrow, which is good. I've just got to knock that pin off, clean up the commutator, and I think we'll put our little hairdryer back together. Now, given the brittle nature of this, we can't effectively pull it apart to get the bearings out. They're kind of riveted in, and there's no way I'm going to try and get those out because it's just going to get damaged. The commutator is fairly dirty, and I started just holding this here. I'm just going to hold that there and spin it as I put a bit of pressure on there, and it cleans up quite well. Just got to make sure I don't touch any of those fine wires. And lubricating it, I can only just put a spot of oil on. That's all I can do. And it was a Jimmy, I can't remember the guy's name, left a comment that motor oil is actually incorrect to use on these because it has detergents in it. Electric motor oil doesn't have detergent in it, and it clogs up the pores in the what do you call it? In the scented bronze. that's actually really handy to know, but I'm still going to use just a spot of oil from here because these are barely going to get used anyway. We've just got to make sure it works. I think that'll do nicely. These windings, they go, this is tricky because I don't want to, that'll be great. I don't want to damage it, and I'm sort of paranoid about damaging it. This has to go in through here. And then it just falls through. And there's a captive nut, or yeah, that you put in where that brush spring clip thing is. I'm just going to push that through. That's where that nail is too. That's where the resin is. So I'm going to try and get it through without it getting up to mischief. I might have to file it because it sits flush there, but it's not there. There's a bit of interference. I just don't want to break these wires. Alright, we'll go for round 2. I've just taken a bit off with the file in the corner. I think I had too much there. Are we good? Perfect. And then we've got, it turns, we do have to oil it though. It's these little captive nuts that go in. That holds the old bloke together. I'll have to find another one of those. Oh, what's on there? Yeah. Should be right. Nice and clean. This presses on. There's a little spline on there. It's nice and free. Everything's there the way it's meant to be. That's it. So the only thing I need to do now is just lubricate in there, which I can do. It's fairly easy. And then I think we put the thing back together. I think the first thing though is just to clean out the casing. These polish up beautifully, these things. It's blistered in there. Probably from all that rather lovely heat. I'll clean the outside up later, I'm not too worried about that, but there's a little gauze thing. There's all sorts of bits of chassis gear to keep the thing together, and it's quite tricky. Actually, I can't even remember how I pulled it apart. Does that go in there? Ah, tricky. It goes there. See what I mean? No idea how this goes. I just sort of let it all fall apart. I'm just going to throw that little gauze thing in. Then we've got the heating element. And given the fragility of this thing, that has little keepers like that. And it's crazy, this thing. It's so it drops into those little retainers here. Yep, like that. And that keeps that in. Good. Alright. Then there's a spring. And the spring, you don't want that to dislodge, because if it does, it goes into the heating element and shorts everything out. Nice. Then the motor slides in backwards, but I don't know how it goes. How is it held in? No, I know what I've done. Those things go around the screws. I know what I've done. Right, well this thing here seems to keep the bottom of the switches in check by just sort of sitting in there like that, I think. But there is this insulating paper which goes somewhere. I thought it might go... Oh, maybe it goes over those. I thought it went behind there, but I don't think it does. That being said, I've just got to check in here to make sure all the wiring's cool. Have I got my light on? That one goes down into there. Nothing's touching. I had these wrong, these blocks. Those screws go actually through the block. I don't know about this one. Maybe that was supposed to go under the motor. I think it was. Would it be okay to put it like that, do you think? I think it goes like that. sits like that. Does that go down? And we've got this funky screw which has got an insulating thing on it in case it comes into contact with any wiring, which would be ugly. And I think we just screw that in. Now there's a tab, but what do you call it? A label, a plaque sort of thing that goes on there. But that's pretty much it, I think. And then we just have to make sure that's... Well, the wire's popped off. Not unusual. The other thing is, this is quite tricky. There's these little bits and pieces that go in. This goes in the case there. I think it spaces out the switches, or at least supports the bottom of the switches so they can't move around. When you go to put the bottom on, it's got this sort of nut, slotted nut, if you like. But the issue is the thread sort of protrudes through the base of it, and I cut a groove into a screwdriver. It sort of sits like that, and you can't get a screwdriver around it. So I sort of modified one, but you can't do a very wide one because it won't fit in this channel here. Otherwise, it's together and it should be ready for testing. And we'll just suck it and see how it goes. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's been a waste of time, but you know, every now and then you do come across these sorts of things when you're playing around with old stuff. Just feed some solder onto there to get that melted like that, and stick it on. Is that a good joint? Looks alright. Yeah, that'll do. That will do. Now we've got this insulated paper that goes around as well. So I guess that's the simplest way. I've just got that taped in there. The round bit faces down, that cardboard guy. Then you've got this cable strainer that's loose, but it sits down in a channel in there. It really is a pain in the neck, this thing. It's not a particularly pleasant thing to do. And we've got to get that over there. But the other thing to, pardon me, be aware of, actually the cable goes up through the back. The other thing to be aware of is that, hold on a minute, it has to go like that. And then that cable strainer, you've got to orientate that the right way. Goodness me. Is that coming through now? Then I think it goes like that. And then I'm going to hold them back with my forefinger, put that on the screw top, and it's rounded at the top, which is even more horrendous. Can I see what I'm doing? Not really. I'm going to have to go with this. That's the screwdriver I modified there. That ended up being better anyway. Seems to work. Alright. So it's got heat. And cold. Let's clean it up and that's done. We've got our little bearings that have been soaking for quite a few days. We've got the stator windings. I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but it doesn't work, so therefore I don't care. I'm going to put that on high speed and just give this a bit of a spin. Maybe, don't we? Oh, that looks nice. And that looks pretty good. I'll just get rid of all that furry crap off there. We've got this washer goes in there. The shaft is a little bit dirty there. Now it's not. And that looks lovely and clean. Sweet. Alright, so that's cool. These just press in. They've got a shoulder on them with the motor up. Which way is it? that way would be up. There's a little spot where you can put oil to lubricate it. And we'll just put him in the back. And that spins very well, which is cool. And we've got these rather large screws which go in here and go through to the front when they eventually go through. There we go. And there's a nut that sort of holds it in. I can't remember how this goes actually. This is there's these nuts. I'm assuming there's flat washers as well. And they fit. Splendid. Alright. That goes that way. And then you have these spaces and the housing and all that sort of stuff. So we'll just tighten these up and then have a look at the wiring. I might use a block connector instead of heat shrink. And right, so we've got a couple of things here. I've got this through Duck Fat, which is a place where you can buy vintage cable. I've picked this teal colour. It doesn't look too badly against that anodizing. In fact, it matches beautifully. But the other thing I've done, soldered the ends of this and put a block in to try. I don't like that cable strain, but what do you do? In fact, I don't like the construction of this very much at all. The thing is, though, we've got it earthed, we've got it wired in. I think that's better than heat shrink where it's flapping around. It's sort of secured there. This will go over the end. There's a grommet, and that will just fit over the end, and we're good. We'll use, I'm not going to use that other one. I think with the blue, this is a colour sort of preference, I guess. I'm just going to use this plug. Again, it's one of those old-fashioned types. Well, it does have a thread there, but I'm not going to use it because I want it to look vintage, and I think that looks absolutely lovely. So I'm going to wire this up with the earth connected, obviously. And it really is just a, let's just try and cut around here. The sheath just comes off. It's just a rubber cord underneath. It blades blood as hell. Hang on, let me get another one for you. So you can see what I'm talking about. And I'll use a bit of electrical tape just to stop it from fraying. But you can see there, it just sits over a regular plastic cord. Now, for a fan, this isn't such a bad thing, yeah? But for a heating appliance, it'd be rubbish because it's just not going to be suitable for items with a high current. It's a very small lead, but given that this fan's only 35 watts, it will be fine. I've just got to work out how long I need it. Well, I got it together. I'm not sure if it's going to work. I've got a lovely plug on it and cord. I'm just going to pull it out of the way and leave it like that and hope it doesn't go bang. So what I'm going to do, I'll pop that there. And I'm going to turn this light off here, plug it in, and then we'll turn it on. Sounds like it's working. It seems to be working well. Yeah, it seems to be working. Yeah, that's got heaps of power. Oh, that is a success. I'm very happy with that. We'll just turn it off.
Oh yeah, just start fingering it.
Hang on, I'll just unplug it here. Rosie. Okay. Well, that was very successful. Hang on a minute, we'll do it again. That's working really well. I'm well pleased with that. Excellent. Right, so there's a couple of things we need to do with it. I might get that mat. Where's that mat? There's a couple of spaces that sit over there and there. And then the housing goes over, but I might have to clean that up a bit. In the meantime, we've got this one. Does that go on the inside? I think that goes on the inside, doesn't it? Maybe if I put it like that. I've just got that cord exiting in a slightly lower position to what it was, just to give it a little bit less of a strain, so to speak. And we'll just put that bell back on the back. There we go. Splendid. And then that one sort of goes, this front housing goes over it, but I've got to take that out, which I can do, but that looks awfully seized. Rosie's goofing off, guys, seriously. Now, that will go in there now. Hang on a second, just let me try and get this right. Shut up, Rose. She's a devil. And there were washers in there as well. I just want to see how well that marries up with that. That's supposed to go down further, I believe. That's it. That's not very good. But anyhow, that's the motor. Anyway, whatever the case, I've got another nut. It was missing one initially, so I'm just going to pop that on there. We'll plug him in again, see if he makes the right noises. Perfect. Should we? Does it have the balls to turn a fan? Takes a long time to wind up. It works. It just takes a long time to wind up. Why do it take so long? It's working though. Gee, it's starting to really hammer now. It just takes an awfully long time to spin up. I wonder why it takes so long. Seemed to have quite a bit of torque. I'm surprised it took so long. But the thing is, it works. That, whoops, is a good thing. Well, there we go. We've got two appliances that didn't work and now do. The only criticism, this thing's out of balance. And it's a really soft start, so I'm not sure, it's starting to speed up now, if that's normal or whether those bearings, here we go, need to be stuck in an oven and heated up to 180 like that guy recommended. Starting to motor now, there's a good amount of air coming, and of course we've got our lovely hairdryer going as well, Python. So I'm really pleased with that, and of course the cord and everything for this hairdryer came up absolutely beautifully. So I would call that a success. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Rose, do me a favour, can you turn that switch off?
Ja. Ik denk SS.
Oh, chuck that, that's disgusting. Chuck that away. Oh, that's one. That's lovely.
There you go.
What do you reckon? Shit.